Okay, so what is truth? This sounds like an existential philosophical debate, but in reality, it's just it's how does PHP define truth? This is very similar to other scripting languages. Perl especially is where PHP gets its sense of truth, but other languages do a simpler sort of thing. When making decisions, PHP boils down an expression to true or false. Every single expression in PHP is either true or false. So it has a true-false value. The expressions true and false, written this way without quotes, represent the Boolean true and false. And you guys hopefully familiar with the term Boolean? All right, if not, look it up. It means true or false. All right. Every expression has truth value, so most scalars, a scalar is just a single entity, as opposed to an array, which we'll get to, but you've hopefully already dealt with too. A scalar is just like a single number or a single string. Okay, so most scalars are true. All integers and floating point numbers are true except for 0 and 0.0. Okay? And all strings are true except for two of them, the empty string and the string containing exactly one character, 0. Everything else other than those are false. Or sorry, are true. These are false, that's false, and those are false. So, without further ado, okay, I want you to, well, let me see if I can keep that, I guess I can't keep that slide up. Okay, let me write it on the board. I know it doesn't help the people. Okay, so things that are false. Numbers that are equivalent to 0 and 0.0. And strings that are exactly equivalent to the empty string, which I'm just going to use by 2 single quotes or 2 double quotes, or the string containing exactly the number 0. It's weird. It's tough to get used to. Okay, so tell me the truth. Tell me the truth value. For 0.
False.
That's false.
It's true.
It's true. 7 plus 6? True. Right, because it's not 0. 8 minus 4 star 2.
False.
False. And it is false. In fact, if you're dealing with integers only, and the integers expression is equal to 0, then it's always going to be false. How about the next one? 9.9 minus 3 star 3.3.
False.
What should it be? It should be false, right? But it ain't. This one is actually true. Why? And this is, you might be able to answer this question because you mentioned C++. Can you explain why that's true? And I don't know, is my next slide, does it have the answers? No, it doesn't. There's more of them. Okay. The reason is because 9.9 is what we call a floating point decimal. It's actually a double precision floating point decimal. And you guys took VB, right? Do you remember that? It was right in the beginning of the semester where you talked about doubles. But the number 9.9 as a double is it's represented in memory as 9.9 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0, about 14 of them here. 1 9 8 5 3 9 1 8 and then a random bunch of garbage afterwards, right? In other words, double precision or floating point values are only good to about 14 decimal points, sometimes 15. And the reason is because we're trying to store this 9.9 in a certain amount of memory. We don't have infinite memory to store that value. So within I can't even be sure of the byte values, but I believe it's 4 bytes of memory to store this double. I'm gonna have to check my math on that though. So somebody's feels like looking it up. But anyway, based on that memory storage, there's only a finite number of real numbers that you can store in 4 bytes. So the fact is, you can only get to a certain amount of accuracy, after which you'd have no idea what's coming. So, what's the truth value of some random number, 9.9, minus 3 times another 3.300000000, right? Where there's some other random garbage, it turns out that the answer is very, very close to 0, but not exactly. And so, true. Right now, you're staring out into space there, but it's an important notion. It really is, because when you run loops, let's say, and you're going to end the loop based on a condition that you compute, you want to make damn sure that if you're checking for truth or equal to 0, that it is equal to 0. So you're going to want to maybe play around with some rounding or whatever before you do this, but it's very important that you take that into account in certain conditions. So in fact, that last one is true, whereas this one is integer, so it's false. Okay, let's go with more. 8 minus 4 star 2 as a string. True or false? It's true. It's true. Why? This is a string. It's a string. It doesn't do auto conversion for you. It's a string, and it's not empty, and it's not exactly the 0 string.
Oh.
All right? Okay, does your head hurt a little bit?
Well, the math. Okay, I was doing the math.
Okay, and I actually have a little you can write your own little program, but in the week 3 share folder, let me do it this way. Let me close this down, and come on. There's a program called Truth, and I just have an expression in here. So if you do, what was the number again? 8 minus 4 star 2 in quotes.
84.
Thank you. And if I save this now and I run it, it gives you the answer of true, right? Because it's not the string that's either empty or 0. So you can check those. Okay, how about false? Is that true or false?
True.
False is true. How about this false? False is false.
Well, then we can't.
Doesn't no. Actually, it doesn't matter if capital or lowercase. But without the quotes, makes it a Boolean. So that's actually the same as capital false. As long as it doesn't have the quotes, it's the Boolean. Dog plus cat.
Equals 0.
Dog plus cat is false. It's 0. It numerically, a plus means add numerically. 0 plus 0 is 0. $sign truth equals 2. I'm going to actually change that last one here. Take a look at this example. And you guys comfortable with if statements from a VB perspective? You understand if something is some condition. So, and I'll talk about if in a second. But let's do this. $sign x equals 1, right? I'm going to write up here. If $sign x equals 2, print true, else print false. What's the answer going to be here? Do you think?
It's going to print true.
What's that?
It's going to print true, isn't it?
What do you think? True.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Right from your.
Okay, hold on a second.
From this.
What I'm doing here is I'm setting x equal to 1. So the memory of location equals 1. What is this trying to do here? What does the programmer want to do? What's the intention?
He's trying to get back 2.
He's trying to say, is 1 equal to 2? Am I correct?
It should be equal.
Ah, man, you're way ahead of me. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But this is the thing. This is the thing that's going to drive you cuckoo about PHP, and I agree, because I've spent hours on this silly mistake. Right. The intent of the programmer, I believe, is to check to see if 1 equals 2, which isn't the case, so you print out false. But in fact, that's not what this is doing. In PHP, equal sign means one thing. Assign the right-hand side to the thing on the left. It doesn't have double meaning, so all this is doing is it's checking to see, hey, were we successful in assigning the variable x to 2, and what was its value? 2. So really this returns a value of 2, which is true, and it'll print true. Drive you nuts, right?
So if you recall x after that point, will it print? It'll print 2, right?
It's going to print 2.
All right.
Yeah, it's going to print 2. Right. So, okay, so let's just save it to make sure I'm not blowing, blowing smoke. But it does return true and 2. Right. And so you tell me now, what's this going to do?
False.
It's going to say false, right? But not for the reason the programmer wanted it. The programmer was checking to see if 1 was equal to 0, which is false. This is also false, but for a reason other than what the programmer expected, right? So it takes some getting used to, and that's why I make such a big point about it. Okay, so what was the intent of the programmer there? Probably to check to see if x was in fact equal to 1, in which case if you're going to do comparison shopping, you got to use equal equal. All right, so there's equal equal, not equal, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, right? So back to this program, the intent of the author or programmer would be if x equal to, right, which is, now it's false. And what's x going to be at the end of the problem? It's still going to be 1 because it didn't get assigned anything. Right? Okay, so, but you know what? Hopefully that bug doesn't bite. Well, it's not a bug, it's a feature of the programming language. And hopefully it doesn't bite you, because it's bitten me before. I mean, hard, where I've spent an hour or 2, and you got this big long program, and you're like, what the hell is going on? X doesn't equal 1. X equals 2. So it's going to, hopefully it doesn't get it. Just remember to do that, okay? So you can do comparison. And again, I think I give you a whole bunch of examples here. So look these over, right? 35 is not equal to 30 plus 5. That's, again, this is logic, right? Go ahead. You got a question? Yes.
How about equal?
I'll get to that. That's equivalence, right? And equal, it checks not only whether it's true or false, but it also checks to see if they're identical types. So it'll check to see if both sides would have to be a string, or both sides would have to be integer for that to be.
What it will return is if the value is equal, but it's not the same.
But well, let's try it. Okay, so and this is a little bit beyond where I want to be right now, but that's okay. So we want to do this. Well, let me do this. What do you suppose the answer is here? X is equal to 0. If $x is equal empty string. Let's just see, because it's true. Why is it true? Because the left-hand side is a false statement. It's 0, right? The right-hand side is a false statement. It's the empty string. False is logically equivalent to false, and so the result is true. Does your head hurt, David? You got that? Do you understand that?
Yeah.
But obviously it's not the same, right? They're not the same, so you might not. So if you want to check sameness, you throw in an extra equal sign, and it'll check to see not only are they logically equivalent, but are they the same thing? Are they both the empty string or both a 0? And in that situation, what the answer is going to be? False. All right. So use triple equal sign if you want that little extra forcing things to be not only of the same truth value, but of the same type. Okay, that's an excellent, I'm glad you brought that up. All right, so equal equals is going to be just checking to see if the truth value on the left side is the same as the truth value on the right side. Excellent. So is 35 equal to 35.0? True, right? And again, I'm going to blow your mind here. So what if we do this? So is 35 equal to 35.0? And actually, let me just do this. Let me use the x value here. 35, x is 35. Is x equal to 35? That's going to be, it's going to be true, right? Because, it'll take that 35.0 and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to convert that to an integer to compare the two, and then okay. So, or they're both true actually. That's okay. So but now equal. It's false, right? Integer on the left, decimal on the right. Not the same type. Not equivalent. Good? All right, so there's a lot going on with that equal sign, that equal. It's checking the truth value, it's checking your numerical and comparing it, it's doing a lot of different things. And so you just gotta get the feel of it. And this is another interesting thing here. It'll try to do what you think you want it to do. So it will convert it to numeric here in this situation. Okay, why is Fred less than Barney false?
These are both 0.
Well, no, actually not.
No.
Because now it's a different thing that it's comparing. So it's the next level. Why is Fred less than Barney? Think in terms of VB. When you do the comparison, I think you do a comparison like this in VB. Now it's saying, hey, these are both strings. So I'm going to do it alphabetically. And so this is a dictionary lookup at this point. Fred does not appear in the dictionary before Barney. So it's not less than it. Fred is not less than free, or Fred is less than free in its dictionary. Fred is less than or equal to itself. Lowercase Fred is not, in fact, equal to uppercase Fred. Okay, so if we're dealing with strings, it will check them alphabetically.
So Fred greater than Barney is true. Right?
Fred greater than Barney is going to be true. Yeah. All right. So there's lots to go on. Okay. So if statements, it's very common between languages how you do if statements. So in PHP, we do if, then a condition, then an optional set of brackets here. Now, you have to use the brackets if the block of statements is more than one line long, more than one expression. But if you're just going to do a single expression here, you can leave out the quote or the brackets. I suggest for the time being you leave them in. And also, in scripting, the preferred way to write this, unlike Java, is that you have your condition and then you put your left-hand curly on the same line after the condition. And then you close up your curly at the same level as the first letter in the if statement, and you indent your block of statements. All right, it's just a formatting thing, but I'm going to ask that you do this format. All right, so if new messages equals 10, open curly, print you have 10 new messages, close your curly. Here we could have optionally removed the curlies. All right, so if $dinner is not equal to braised scallops, print damn, I want braised scallops. All right, but you can also have multiple statements in there. The else clause, you can have a condition, a block of statements, and then an else. And remember from other languages that in this situation, if you have an else statement, then something has to occur. In other words, if the if condition is true, then the block of statements executes and we exit. If this is not true, then if nothing is true up here, then the else will execute. All right, so if grade is greater than or equal to 70, print you're doing okay. Else, print try harder. So one of those two, you're going to get a print statement no matter what in this situation. And then I'm going to skip this. You can look back at this. This is what I was talking about. Be careful with floating point decimals because of that in the approximation. Let me skip right to ELSIF. And I don't like my formatting here. I think I took this from the book, I'm not positive, but you can use ELSIF to check other conditions. So in this situation here, if condition 1, we do a block of statements. If that condition is false, it goes on to check the next condition. If that's true, it'll execute. If it's false, it'll go to the next, and then finally an else block. So, tell you what. Let's do this. At the command line, get yourself an editor up. I don't care how. Call it grades.php. It can be right in your. It doesn't have to be in your. We'll run this at the command line. So what I would like you to do is real simple. Enter a numerical grade, and the way that we're going to do that, let me start you off. Let me get rid of this truth. And let me start up I'll do this in week 3. If I can. New file. Let's call this grades.php. Let's do this in PHP print. Enter a grade, colon, space, close your quote. Now this is from the command line. So we're going to run a command line program. Let's do $G equals trim fgets stdin And from a command line perspective, standard stdin is standard input, the keyboard, right? Type in, press enter. Fgets will get standard input. And what does the trim do? Trim will, what's trim do from last class?
Take off the white space.
Cuts off white space, and in this particular case, it'll cut off the enter symbol, the new line at the end of your string, okay? And just to make sure we got it, print, you entered $G. Dot, dot, dot. Close your quote. And no new line. We're gonna actually put down, output a grade at that. And just to make sure, let's verify that it works. So if you're using, let's just go right to the putty. You're gonna need a putty shell up. I'm in week 3. Enter a grade, 45. You entered 45. All right. So make sure you can get it to that level. And here's what I want you to do to start. Shouldn't take you too long. If your grade was a 90 or better, put out just output A, and otherwise not an A. That's all you have to do, just to start. Okay, so if the grade you entered, if $G is 90 or better, you're going to put an A. Otherwise, you're going to say, yeah, it wasn't an A. And this is I'll give you a hint, it's an if statement. Okay, so if $G is greater than or equal to 90, right? Why can't you do greater than 89? I've seen this before. Well, first of all, why can't you do greater than 90? Because that would exclude 90, right? So if you just did greater than 90, 90 would be, it wouldn't be true here, and so you wouldn't get an A, but you should, right? Why can't you do 89 then? Come on, you guys know that. Because 89.1 would still be an A, which it isn't, right? 90 or better is an A. Unless your teacher's a pushover, which I am. So you want to do greater than or equal to 90. And again, here's the format I want. If G is greater than or equal to 90, open curly, print, and all I wanted was A. And you know what, you can do a new line just to make it so that it returns. And then here's the format I want. Close curly. Notice I indent the print. I just do a couple of spaces. You can do a tab. I don't care. If lines up with the curly. And then put the else on the next line. And it is an else, correct? Else what? What do I have to do now? Else nothing. You never have any condition on an else line. Not an A. And that should do it. And it'll work. All right, that's the easiest way to solve this problem. Enter a grade, so we're going to put 90 in. You entered a 90, it's an A. We're going to do 86, it's not an A. What if you do cow? You entered cow, not an A. But watch this. You ready now? This is where, again, this is maddening. Enter a grade, 92 doggies. I don't know why. I'm in the animal thing. True, what's this going to be? You entered 92 doggies A. Why did it give you an A for 92 doggies? Because it looked at the first part of it. The first character says that's a number, so I'm going to keep going with it. The next one's a number, I'm going to keep going with it. The third one's a D, that ain't a number, so I'm just going to take whatever came. So it interprets that as the value of 92. Right? So, how are we doing?
For some reason I got an error.
Okay, I'll come over and look at that. Alright, so now, here's what I want you to do. Switch this up so that if you got 90 or better, you get an A. 80 to 80 all the way up to 90. You're going to put a B. And if you do anything else, I don't want any output. Don't even worry about other situations. So all I want is two things. If it's a 90 or better, I want you to put out an A. If it's an 80 up to a 90, but not including 90, give me a B, but don't grade me at all otherwise. In other words, no output at all, no check. You understand the task? Yeah? No? I can't tell because you guys aren't saying anything or even looking at me. There's no eye contact.
We're semi-doing.
Yes, sir.
For this one, you want like 80 to 90 for the second one, right?
So what was our solution here? The if grade greater than 90, that's going to stay, right? What do we change the else to? It's else if, yeah, else if. Dollar sign. Okay, you tell me. What do we put in the else if?
I put 80 as, no, what did I put? I don't know what I put. I'm not sure if mine's going to work,
Okay.
to be honest.
Just based on logic.
Greater than me.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. You guys are all looking at your screens. That's okay though. That's all right. But tell you what, can I just have you for a sec, okay? I'm just going to do something here. I know if you took Mr. Habermas's class. Okay, I'm going to wait till everybody's looking up here. Thank you. No, not everybody's looking up. I just wanted to ask you a question. Okay, so I know if you took Habermas's class, he pounded you with ands and ors, right? I hope he did. He says he did. All right, so you understand what and means. What does the connector and do? In order for that statement to be true,
Both have to be.
both of those have to be true, right?
Yes.
And do you agree that what really this condition that we're looking for, if $G is greater than or equal to 80 and less than $G is less than 90, okay, you have to have a full statement on each side of that and. You can't just do this, which it's common. I see this a lot. That don't work. All right, it has to be, you got to check $G greater than or equal to 80 and $G is less than 90. Then we can print out B, right?
All right, yeah, because I tried to do just
And this is going to
G
work.
between
Now I'm going to get to you in a second.
already.
Okay, so this is going to work, and you understand the logic behind it, right? Cool. So, and let's just verify. Okay, so we're going to do an 85 here. We're going to get a B, and we're going to do a 67. We're not going to get anything, and we're going to do a 93 and get an A. Now, let's look at this one more time. Why is this highlighted part unnecessary? Why is that unnecessary? Why can I just erase it and it's still going to work?
Yeah, but up there.
Because we already checked to see if it was greater than 90. And if it was, we already printed out an A and we escaped. We're out. We're good. Right? If it's not greater than 90, then we jump down. But the fact is, if we're checking bigger than 80, we already know that it can't be bigger than 90 because we already got past that. So that's why, and that's what you were saying, right? So really, this is going to work equally well. And notice I kind of did the shortcut. I cheated without the curlies. I'd prefer you don't cheat, but it's okay. But again, I just really want you to get in the habit of proper indenting and proper alignment of the curlies with the if and the else if. All right, so this is going to work equally well. So in this particular case, there is a possibility that a number slips through the entire if statement that doesn't hit any of those branches, right? How do you make sure that every single grade gets accounted for? You put an else block, right? Because if either of the ifs are not true, then we can put in an else. So let me control. I just hit Control C there if I'm in the middle of a program and I want to stop. Control C. That's going to happen when you write your infinite loops. Not intentionally, of course, but we all write them. And so if you need to break out of it, Control C on the keyboard will do so. All right, so now what's the net effect? Let's just do this. Else at the bottom of my program. Remember, else doesn't have any conditions. Print not good enough. Right? In other words, I want A's or B's. At least from you guys, I want A's or B's. I don't want any C's. God forbid a D or an F. So, all right? So not good enough, and that will handle that last situation. Don't forget to close your curly. And that'll work. Okay, and that at least gets to the heart of the program I was asking for. But obviously you can add in the additional condition for the C grade at your own, okay? Any questions? Cool. All right. Let's let me go back here. So I talked about and I think or you've already dealt with at some level, so you understand the notion of an or. What is the meaning of or in a truth statement? One side, either side can be true, and the whole thing's true, right? Can both of them be true? Yeah. So one or the other or both. If one or the other or both is true, then the whole condition is true. That's using the or condition connector. And again, it has to be a full statement. on each side. I think that's it. I will skip over the comparing floats. Okay, questions at all on truth? You're gonna, I think if you're in this class, you understand truth in the notion of ands and ors and ifs and thens and elses and all that kind of stuff. Just got to get used to the syntax of this particular language and get comfortable with that. The notion that 0 is false, 1 is true, cats are false. No, a cat is a cat true or false? Cat is a cat true or false?
Depending.
It's no depending. It's either true or false. It's true. A cat is true. Why is a cat true?
You didn't add it to a dog.
Because we didn't add it to a dog, right? And remember, strings are true except for the empty string and the string containing exactly 0. So you just got to remember the basic rules. And on the first test, I will ask that you know the basic rules. Right? And I will try to trick you a little bit. I am going to add a dog to a cat. Okay, final question. What is dog plus 2? True or false?
True.
It's true. Because what does it evaluate to? The number 2, which is true. Okay, so remember, a dog on its own is true, but a dog plus a cat is false. Okay. Let's go to the next note packet is web forms. And yeah, go with pink. Actually, let me stop this right now.